Well, hello students. I welcome you all back again. Today, we'll be continuing with our previous lecture on the development. Now, let us get some quick recap on what we did last time. We were trying to define what development is, and in the process, we have come across that development is different from growth in its meaning and significance. In development, we take into account not just the quantitative but also the qualitative factors into consideration. Not so in case of growth. Now, we have to know that the growth in the income level or the amount of money that we hold does not only signify the development of a person. Like, for example, if you are offered a job which is very lucrative and high perks are involved, but under the condition that you will have to be posted in a far-flung area where the accessibility, connectivity, road transportation is very bad, and you will have to stay with yourself without your family members for most of the years, for most days of the year, then you will have to reconsider the job, even though it offers you a very good remuneration, isn't it? So, money alone does not define what development is. In that, you have to take into account the family, your peace of mind, the accessibility, the availability of basic amenities, etc. So, development does not alone mean quantitative growth. Means that it also takes into account various other important things in life. Now, let us try to define what a national development is then. It is very important to keep in mind that different persons could have different as well as conflicting notions of a country's development. While trying to learn what development is, we saw in our previous video that there was a conflicting notions. Same is the case with national development. While trying to define how a nation is going to be developed, different people will have different notions. But is it important to take all the notions into consideration? Now let us see here. What do you see in this picture? In this picture, you see that these are the high rises, and below which there are also slums and small cottages, and they exist alongside each other. This is a very common phenomenon which we witness in today's India, and as a matter of fact, in most of the developing countries in the world. Now let us also see here a case study. It is said here that it is a news report. A vessel dumped 500 tons of liquid toxic waste into open air dumps in a city and in the surrounding sea. This happened in a city called Abidjan in Ivory Coast, a country in Africa. The fumes from the highly toxic waste caused nausea, skin rashes, fainting, diarrhea, etc. Now, I hope that most of the students know what's the meaning of nausea. Nausea is a condition under which a person feels like vomiting. Okay, students? Now, after a month, several persons were dead, 20 in hospital and 26,000 treated for symptoms of poisoning. A multinational company dealing in petroleum and metals had contracted a local company of the Ivory Coast to dispose the toxic waste from its ship. Now, this is a grave concern. This is what we actually face, like the big companies of the developed nations. They often use developing nations for such reasons, and also for other reasons like outsourcing, etc., which we will learn in subsequent chapters that is to come afterwards. But over here, the question really is, who are the people who benefited and who did not? What should be the developmental goal for this country? Now, that's rather a very important question. How do we compare different countries or states? Now, it is a very tricky situation. As you have seen in the earlier example as such in the Ivory Coast, this country, Ivory Coast, the very city Abidjan, was following certain dictates from developed world, and it carried on with such hazardous toxic waste dumping in its landfills to earn maybe some money for the city and the country. Now, over here, you might have noticed that there is a mention of developed countries and developing countries. Isn't it, students? Have you heard about it? Yes, there exists in our today's world the concept of developed nations and developing nations. Now, how is this differentiation or demarcation made between different countries? As we all know that there are different attributes. In your class itself, you are sitting with your friends. You are of the same standard. All right, you study the syllabus which is common to all. You all are equals. But when we try to define each person individually, you all hold different attributes. Somebody is taller than the other person. Somebody has higher intellectual capacities. Somebody has good, good sense of music. Somebody excels in sports and games. So all of you are different, isn't it? In your own good, for your own good, you are different and excel in your own faculties. Like that, when we try to compare different countries, it's not an easy task. There comes the concept of income. And to be precise, average income or per capita income. Now, students, income is obviously important for defining a country's ability to buy certain goods and services. Alright, and when this income is generated, when there is high level of income in a country, the country will be able to buy goods and services, and also the individuals who are living within the country or the state are able to buy goods and services. And if they are able to buy goods and services, the demand is generated for the goods and services, the productivity will increase, and then there will be more income generation. Likewise, the income will also be distributed equally among the citizens of that country. Now, there comes the concept of average income. Countries are different, and different countries have their own level of income. Okay? Now, even though a country may be having higher income level compared to other countries, it depends a lot on the population of the country to define this average income. This average income is nothing but it is the total income of the country divided by its population, total population. The average income is also called per capita income, meaning to say that per capita income, it means how much of the income is distributed equally among each individuals in the country. Alright, now you get that when you divide the total income of the country by its total population. Alright, I want you to make a note of it. This is a very important concept. Now, each and every individual, if the income is distributed equally among them, then that defines where the country is moving, what is the income level of that country. Alright, let's see here. The World Development Reports by the World Bank is the criterion is used in classifying countries. The World Development Report is one criterion, alright, which is used in classifying the different countries. Countries with per capita income of $12,056 per annum and above in the year 2017 are called rich countries, and those countries with per capita income of $955 or less are called low income countries. Now, let's see here for where India comes in this ranking. India comes in the category of low middle income countries because its per capita income in 2017 was just $1,820 per annum. Alright, so that's very important. We need to keep that in mind, that India comes under low middle income countries category. Alright, now but is the average income completely justified? The demarcation or the differentiation of countries' development based on income, it's necessary. It's very necessary because it will give you the level of income of the country and how much it can afford to buy goods and services for the country and the citizens. Alright, but they also hide many disparities or the differences between the citizens. Let me explain this to you by taking a very simple yet very effective example over here. Now, just take a look at this table 1.2. Now, if you look here, when you compare these two countries, country A and country B, what is given there are the monthly income of citizens in the year 2012 in terms of rupees. All right, for country A, individuals have their monthly income. But if you look at these incomes of individuals 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 respectively, there is not much variation there. If you work out the average of it, how do you work out the average? You have to add up all these monthly incomes together, which will come to 50,000 rupees, and divide it by the number of individuals, which is 5. It will give you 10,000 rupees. All right. Now, likewise, if you do it for country B, you see here that there is a difference between country A and B. All right. You see that the first 4 individuals are earning 500 rupees each, contradicted to country A. But when you add up all these individuals up together, you will get 50,000 rupees, which is the same as what you got in country A also. Why is that? Because in country B, the 5th individual is filthy rich. He is very rich, and most of the income is earned by him. Okay, now if you try to find out the average income of the country B, also you will get 10,000 rupees, like how you got for country A. So both these countries have average income of 10,000 rupees. But one thing you notice here is that these countries, in country A, there is not much of disparity among its citizens. All the citizens are having a almost equal amount of monthly income. But in country B, there is a huge disparity. Lots of poor people are there in this country, and few, in fact only one person is very rich. That is why the average income is coming to 10,000 rupees. You see a great deal of disparity or inequality between the rich and the poor. All right. So that is one demerit or disadvantages of average income in defining the development of a country. Now, so how do we solve that? How do we solve this problem of income being the only criteria for measuring the development of a country? Now let's come here. We see that in our country, in the states of Haryana, Kerala and Bihar, these are some data which is given to you according to the Economic Survey 2017-18. The per capita income of Haryana is the highest when compared between the 3 states of Haryana, Kerala and Bihar. You see that in Haryana, the per capita income is 1,62,034 rupees. Kerala comes in the second position, and Bihar is the least with 31,454 rupees only. All right, this is nothing but calculated per capita income according to the state domestic product of these different states. Okay. Now, even though there is difference in the income level of these different states, when we come to other criteria, let's see here. Now it is very important. Please look at this table very carefully. We are now introduced to the concepts of infant mortality rate, literacy rate, and net attendance ratio. Alright, what are these? Now, before going to the figures and the data which is given there, let us try and define what is infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate indicates the number of children that die before the age of 1 year as a population of 1000 live children born in that particular year. Infant mortality rate is the rate of the children who dies before celebrating his or her first birthday. Okay, out of the 1000 live children, please make a note here, it should be 1000 live children born, all right, and not 100 live children. I have seen that in some older NCERT books 100 live children is written there. So this is the newer publication and the changes have been made here. It should be 1000 live children born. Okay, literacy rate measures the proportion of literate population in the 7 and above age group. So that means if a person in the population is of the age group 7 and above and he knows how to read and write and do basic arithmetics, sorry, not mathematics, it should be basic arithmetics, then he or she is regarded to be a literate person and will be counted to work out the literacy rate of the country. The third concept here is the net attendance ratio. Net attendance ratio is the total number of children of the age group 14 and 15 years attending school as a percentage of total number of children in the same age group. Now, I want you to look carefully here. The certain age group is mentioned here, that is 14 and 15 years. Now, you know that according to the Constitution of India, it is mandatory for the age group of 6 to 14 years age group children to get basic primary education. It's compulsory. All right. Nowadays some changes have been made there and it has been introduced up till the higher secondary level education. The education is universalized. I don't know whether you are aware of that, but this net attendance ratio, it means that the children who are in the age group 14 and 15 means who have passed out their 8th standard and have not dropped out. So it is often seen that after attaining 8th standard, some students, because of poverty or other inabilities on their part, could not carry on with their education, right? And they drop out from school education. Now, net attendance ratio is to measure that how many of the students have not dropped out after their 8th standard and continued with their schooling in the age group 14 and 15, that is after their 8th standard. All right, students. Now, if you compare these three states, all right, in infant mortality rate, Haryana stands at 33. That means 33 children die before attaining the age of 1 year out of 1000 live births. That is in the year 2016. All right. Now, Kerala, let's see here. Kerala was second with 1,40,190 rupees in its per capita income, but in infant mortality rate, much lower than Haryana, which is a good sign. Now, please note here that if the infant mortality rate is lower, then it means it is good. It is good for the state. All right. Likewise, Bihar, if you see Bihar here, the per capita income is also very low, which is bad. It signifies that the state is in a poverty stricken state, and infant mortality rate is also 38, which is highest among all the 3 states. All right, this is according to the Economic Survey 2017-18. Literacy rate, if you compare, the rate is of 2011 census, I am sure. Haryana has 82% literacy rate. All right, but Kerala is the highest, 94%, and Bihar is lagging behind at 62% low literacy rate. All right, and lastly, if you look at net attendance ratio, you see that in Haryana 61 is the net attendance ratio, in Kerala 83, which is the highest, and Bihar 43. So in all, when you see, Bihar is in a much sorry state because it is not doing so well in all the indicators. Kerala over here is to be regarded as the much better state compared to other states, and in here compared between these 3 states, Kerala is on top of the indicator. The indicators are very healthy for Kerala, and for Haryana, although the per capita income is high in the state, in other social level, health sector and education level, it's lagging behind. So that means income cannot be the only criteria for defining what development is. All right, students, we will continue with this chapter in our next part. Until then, thank you very much.